Hello, Inferno. What did you guys call this? Dark web jury. Um, for those who do not know who I am, my name is Seb Cordero. I host Inferno's sister org, Distortion, and I'm here to run your jury roundtable for today. Just some things to let you guys know. First of all, I want to let you guys know this is an org, an online reality game. So please do not make any personal comments about the final two. We want to make sure this is as safe as possible. We want to make sure that no one is getting personally attacked on this call, because at the end of the day, this is just an org. So, second, we're going to utilize that raise hand feature on Zoom a lot today because, of course, everyone has different opinions on the final two. And so I would hate for everyone to not get what they want to say out there. So we're going to use the raise hand option and we're going to try our best not to talk over each other. So, but other than that, I'm just going to jump right into it. So the 9 people who can attend this and the 6 people who are here, you guys have been voted out in the merge portion / jury portion of Inferno season 2. And now you guys have a chance. Well, you have the right to vote for one of Alex or Susie at the end of this game. So obviously that's a big responsibility. So I'll ask right away. I want to hear you guys' thoughts because I know as a juror, sometimes I'm very open-minded going into the finale. Sometimes I'm very closed-minded going into the finale. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on how you guys are feeling right now at this very moment. Are you very closed-minded? Are you open-minded? How are you feeling?
I'm kind of open-ish. I like to see what Susie has to say about her game because I don't see much of it.
I'm gonna echo off to Lauren because I want to see what Susie has to say because she duped some of us, like normally in crypt. So I think she'll have some explaining to do. And I don't know if Alex has any explaining to do, but I think he was more honest than the person sitting next to
him. For me personally, it's just going to go to who outwit, outlast, and outplayed the best. And Alex did some of that, but I don't know about Susie, so it should be interesting. But that's basically what I look for in a winner, regardless of what happened in the game, even if, if they backstab me or, I don't think they played a good game, regardless. That's pretty much what I'm looking for.
Okay. Bruce, I know you mentioned you can't speak much, and Morgan, but do you guys have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm just interested to see what they both say. I think it's fair for everybody not to go in like closed-minded and just give the chance for both of them to speak on what they feel like they did in the game, because I personally was in a position where like things that I did wasn't really out there. So like Susie might have the same thing where she needs to explain more. So if everybody just gives the opportunity for both of them, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think I do hear what people are saying about Susie having to do that, but I also think it needs to be heard on Alex's side too, because at the end of the day, the guy voted out of the majority, literally like every single vote. So it wasn't like he was too plugged in and had a great social or strategic game. He won a lot of challenges for sure, but in terms of their social and strategic game, I think that's kind of up in the air whose was better.
Okay, what did I miss? What's the tea?
Hi, Corey.
talking about Bruce and Susie's, not Bruce's, Alex and Susie games.
Okay, but like, who's better?
What's your opinion?
Team Alex.
Okay, Chrisanne, you want to speak?
We have not speaking. She said, I'm gonna raise my hand just for fun.
I'm assuming that Chrisanne is typing. Just kidding.
Who are like the team? Are there like a lot of Team Susie people? Like, raise your hand if you're Team Susie.
Hey, Corey, that's my job.
Oh, well, shit. I've never been to a fucking round table. God.
Sorry, that's why I'm here. Hello, I'm not a juror. I'm just Seb.
Okay, well, I wanted to ask anyway.
Chrisanne's leaving and coming back.
Yeah. But Lauren, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about Bruce, like what Bruce said. I mean, I feel like Alex just didn't really have any chance to be in like a majority because you all were just staying together in your like voting block. So like there was no room for it to like expand or anything. So like I feel like for the game that he was given, he played the game that he had like the best he could with what he was given because nobody was leaving that group. Like y'all just sat there. Susie just sat there pretty, just voting the same way as everyone else. Alex actually had to try to get the vote not on him, even when he didn't win a challenge. You all didn't vote him, even knowing he was a comp threat. So there has to be some social ability there to get him not to be voted out.
Period. That's all.
Okay. Just for the people watching the recording, Chris Ant said that Alex had used his social skills to ensure he didn't get any votes cast against him. Hi, Marvin. I just saw that you got here, but we are just talking about how open-minded or how closed-minded you're going into this finale, and do you think it'll change based on the conversations that we're going to have tonight?
Is this where I speak?
If you want, you don't have to.
Oh no, like I am going into this open-minded. I am leaning towards one way, and I'm sure a lot of people are, but I can guarantee you a lot of us are still going into this final, whatever, everything open-minded.
Cat. Okay, there's been Morgan, and then I'll go.
No. I just want to say that like it's fair for both sides, but like, and Susie can speak for herself, but like if she was voting with the majority, why, like for her, why would she go again? Like if that's where she felt comfortable. In the same sense of Alex not voting majority, I feel like Susie, why would Susie go against that and put herself possibly voted out? Alex was lucky that he won challenge after challenge, so we didn't have that consistent opportunity to get him out, in my opinion.
Okay. I mean, there's a good point being brought up that it seems to be said that Alex, and you guys could correct me, I'm just going off what you guys said because I have not been keeping up with the season. I got added last night, didn't read anything. It seems like you guys are kind of putting Alex in this underdog kind of situation, but you're also saying he won comps, whereas Susie was in a majority voting block and was able to use that to get far. So I'm just gonna move right into the other. So the big point of the jury roundtable is to see how everyone feels about it's as cliche as it is. Jonah said it earlier. The goal of Survivor is to outwit, outplay, outlast, and so okay, for anyone who is watching the recording, Chris Ann said, for me personally, Alex made more of an effort to speak to me and put out game plus personal effort to communicate. Okay, this is where I'm going to get at. So I'm just going to go down the line. There's three major points when you're playing orgs. There's the social aspect, the strategic aspect, and the comp aspect. So let's just go straight into the comp aspect of the game. Now, I've been in jury roundtables that people feel that comps are super important to someone's winning game, and I've been in juries where people feel it's not. How are you guys feeling about comp wins, and do you think someone could use that to portray their winning game?
I personally don't care how many comps a person wins, mainly because I don't win comps. So I don't think that's like, I mean, yeah, it's impressive, but like, I don't know. To me, it's not as important. But being able to make it even when you don't win like a comp, it's still pretty impressive that no one votes you out.
So I will say comps to me aren't that important, but in Alex's perspective, he had no choice but to win these comps, because had he not won those comps, he would be sitting here with the rest of us. And I can guarantee you Jonah or Bruce would be sitting in his spot instead.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
agree. I'm gonna agree with Marvin. I'm gonna agree with Marvin. Yeah, like I agree like with that that Alex had to win those comps. Like, and if he did not win those comps, people would have been saying his name and he would have been here with the rest of us.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah, I
like
think
yeah.
sorry, John, I cut you
You're
off.
fine, you go ahead.
I didn't use the raised
I
hand
didn't either.
feature. I'm sorry. So I mean, I think that like what everybody's saying about Alex's competitions wins definitely holds true. You know, the thing about it is that I think it's about him winning comps, and then how much the winning comps is diluted by the other two aspects. Because I think if you look at their comps, like it's far away, it's Alex, you know. I mean, even though Susie won a couple, I think she won one on her own, and then one where like 5 people won. But yeah, I mean, if we're talking competitions, it's obviously Alex, and I do think what Marvin said holds weight in that they were important when he won them for sure.
Yeah, I personally don't think winning comps is as important in games like Big Brother or like any other orgs out there. You know, it only grants you safety. You don't get much power like taking people out of the game or anything. But it is important if if you're in Alex's position and you need a win to survive, and that's what he did. And it's a big part of his game, I feel like.
Okay. I mean, Bruce kind of touched on it a little bit. But from what I'm understanding from you guys, Susie didn't win that many comps, and at least compared to Alex. But do you feel that comps are important to Susie's game as well, or do you just not feel that way?
Well, like people would have said Susie's name as well if she didn't win comps. But like with Alex, he had to win those comps, otherwise people would have said would have pushed his name.
Can you guys hear me?
Now we
Yes.
can.
Okay, thank God. I don't have to type anymore. So I don't think comps were as important to Susie's game as they were to Alex's, because whether or not Susie would have won, she would have been safe because her vote was necessary for Morgan. Her vote was necessary for Jonah. Her vote was necessary for Bruce. So Susie wasn't going anywhere as much as her name was coming up, because her vote was being utilized by other people. So I don't think her competition wins are as important to her game unless she has like a different perspective that she could show us.
Okay. Does everyone agree? Does anyone agree with that? Disagree with that?
I kind of agree with that. Like, Marvin, do you want to start, or should I say?
No, like I definitely just agree with everything that Chris Ann just said, because like she said, she was within that voting block from pre-merge, and it was also a vote for you, Chris Ann, to the point to where you got in the game, as well for Tanner. So
True.
Like when it comes to the competition wins, it might not have been as important to her as it was for Alex.
Yeah, like yeah, I'm in agreement because yeah, like Susie's competition wins weren't as important as Alex's. Like I said, like Alex had to win them, otherwise they would have pushed his name. So his was more important. Susie's was not more important. Like
And then I think that's where Susie's argument, if she's gonna able to articulate it tomorrow, is strong in that she didn't need to have competition wins, right? Like we're all saying, like it wasn't that important to her game. But in that, so it's something that wasn't even important, and she won a couple, you know. I mean, that she won more than I did. She won more than a lot of people did in here. So in the least important part of her game, she won a few. So I think that is, if she's able to articulate that tomorrow and considers that a part of her game, I think that, you know, that could be a strong argument for her when she's presenting her argument.
Okay, so from what I'm understanding, Alex needed comp wins, whereas Susie did win comps, but it might not necessarily hold as much weight as compared to Alex's. Okay. I'm just trying to gain an understanding. So let's move on to what I personally believe to be the most important aspect when it comes to orgs, the social gameplay. Now, you guys kind of mentioned that there was, voting blocks, underdog stories, people being voted out left and right. Just as a whole, we'll talk about both of them at the same time, I guess. But how do you feel that Alex's social game compares to Susie's and vice versa? And do you feel that the position of game determines how often someone has to talk? You know what I mean? Because what I'm getting is that there were very much sides in this game. So do you think that talking when you're at the bottom, talking with your top? I want to hear from you guys. Chrisanne?
Okay, so personally for me, I didn't speak much with Susie unless she needed something from me or she absolutely had to speak with me. And I can definitely say, not for me, but the people on this cast, there are some people who she flat out probably just didn't talk to whatsoever. So I think because she was a part of the Six That Stick, the Alliance, she didn't feel it necessary to work on her social skills as much as Alex did because he didn't really have a choice. And whereas with me personally, I don't know about anyone else, even if Alex and I didn't vote, the same way, or, he was upset because I did something and I didn't inform him, he was always reaching out. He was always willing to make conversation. He always wanted to talk versus Susie, where it was like, I felt like I was always, hitting her up. I was always trying to talk to her. Talking game with her was very one-sided. It wasn't, I'm going to give you a little, you're going to give me a little. It was just very much so. She was just like a yes man in a way, if that makes sense. And I didn't get that she had much of an opinion in terms of who's leaving the game, why they have to leave the game, and why it's good for her. But that's just what I think.
Okay, we'll do Morgan since her hand was up next.
Obviously I had a lot of conversation with Susie, so that was just our relationship. But in regards to my conversations with Alex, I personally just felt like it was more of an interrogation anytime we hopped on a call. So it just like made me very anxious. And that's might just be for me and how I talked to him or how I perceived our conversation. So like in a social aspect, I was like almost nervous to like say any ideas or be open with what I thought about the game, because I just felt like he was like trying to get information from me, but like not really give me any back. But that's just me personally. So
Lauren?
That's Bruce with his hand up, not Lauren.
Oh, then well, Lauren's hand is up.
Sorry.
Go.
Can I go? Sorry.
Yeah.
So I want to touch. I do agree that Alex was a little bit more of the social butterfly, probably because he had to be. I do agree also that he was more of an interrogation anytime you talk to him. But the point that I want to touch on is Chris Sand's point about like Susie not really having a say in like who left. I do think that there is truth in that. But if you look at who had a say and who left, Alex quite literally never had a say in who left until the final three. Like even in final four, when he won immunity and he got to vote, he didn't even get a say in who was leaving. So like if we're using that as a bar, like Alex literally never had a say in any of that. So in terms of a social aspect and just the social game and like talking to people and asking how their day is going, Alex was 100% better. But I don't think we can knock Susie for not having a huge say on who's leaving because Alex literally never did.
Okay, Jonah.
I feel like Susie's social game is a lot like my social games in previous past. I think it's because she thought she was part of a big alliance. She didn't feel the need to talk to others. She didn't talk to me until probably like the first round after merge. Even on my old tribe, she never talked to me. So I feel like her social game was not up to par as to Alex, where Alex, we've talked a lot. I got to know him on a personal level, which was nice. He's a chill dude and everything, but if we're comparing social games, I do feel like Alex had the better one over Susie. Just because Susie only just came to me like when it came to voting or if she needed something. Yeah, I saved her every round. So
Tanner.
I'm just going to have this on who was up front with me than the other. Alex was up front with me when he said everyone was pushing my name. Susie just basically let the whole thing happen and was not up front with me. So she let me down more than Alex did. Like Susie could have been more upfront with me. Like and I think she'll have explaining to do on that. But like when I play with people, I'm always upfront with them. And like they should have so Susie should have done her part on that too. And I don't know why she didn't. So
Okay. Anyone else on the topic of social gameplay?
Hi, sorry. I had somebody call me. So I was gonna say, because I was gonna like say something about what Chrisanne said. So I mean, I kind of agree that Susie only talked to me personally when she needed something, which wasn't often because she was in such a good spot with that group, so she didn't really need to talk to anybody. And I mean, Alex had no choice but to talk to me because we were both on the outs anyway. So, I mean, I don't know. I know that he was talking to a lot of people because I've had people like come to me in the game and told me that they were talking to him. So, I know that he was more social than Susie was. So,
Okay. Well,
So here, I have a question for everyone here. Who here actually spoke to Susie on a daily basis? Now let's go and look at Alex. Who did
Yeah.
Alex talk to? Alex literally spoke to every single person that's part of this jury. And that just goes to show that he put in the work to ensure that he was still connected. And on top of that, he was on the outs the whole damn time, but he still made the effort unlike obviously me, who just completely said, fuck this, I'm not going to be a part of this anymore. And that's something that he did struggle with, reaching out and speaking to you guys specifically because of how the game was divided with the sides.
Yeah, I mean, I can't respect his willingness to reach out even when he's down and out. Like, I mean, that there is something to be said for that for sure.
I
To
agree.
touch on what Marvin was saying, yeah, he made it clear that his feelings were hurt.
Okay. Well, if that's it for social, let's move on to the last. We've talked about comps, we've talked about social. Now let's talk about strategic. Obviously, these two have made it to the final two, and you guys did not. No offense. But obviously there had to be some reason they got here. And strategic and the strategy of Survivor is a big part of the game. So just talk about both Susie and Alex for a moment, compare and contrast, and strategy. Talk about it. Bruce, your hands up.
Sorry, I'm like at Home Depot, so I need to get my like point through quick. So I think that both of their strategy leaves something to be desired. Obviously, Alex was a little tougher for him to strategize at all because he was on the low end like the whole time, and it's tough to strategize when you're doing that. He was never able to break through. So I think it was tough for him. And then Susie, I do feel like was kind of on the lower end. The one thing I can say for Susie is that she led. I mean, I think the plan was ultimately like mine, but she is the one who initially brought it up at the final four. Like she called 20 minutes before we were going to have tribal and was like, I'm going to vote Jonah and I'm going to make it a tie. And because, I want Jonah out or whatever. Now I took that and kind of ran with it and like used it to kind of play it against Jonah to make him vote for Susie. But, I say that about her because she did have some strategy thought. It wasn't like she was just being blind and being led the whole game. So.
Tanner?
I think like both of them played their own game compared to us. Like Susie could have played her own game and stopped. And Susie could have played her own game and not do what others wanted to do. Like Alex, he played his own game more than Susie did on the strategic part. Susie, like, she did not care to play her own game. Like, she was basically doing what others wanted, or they let her, or they made their decision for her, and she didn't even speak up about it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, like I said, I'm still not exactly sure what Susie did, but I feel like Marvin might have a better idea of what kind of moves that Alex made, like which moves were Alex's, which moves were Marvin's, if there were any moves even made, like who brought up the name for Morgan, like who brought up the name for Bruce. Like that's kind of where I want to like figure out how that all came about. So Marvin, not sure if you have any more information on this.
Well, if we want to speak on that, if Lauren was there, Chris Ann was there, everybody that at that point where it was, hey, vote Susie, I literally would go up to Alex and I'm like, I don't trust this. Like, why are we following and trying to listen to someone on the other side on telling us who to vote. It makes no sense for me. And if you notice throughout the season, there are those straggler votes. Those are from me because I was not going to go ahead and follow what you guys wanted me to do. As for like Alex would take that information. He's like, let's just vote this way. They're saying that this is where the like one of them's willing to flip. I'm like, it's not going to happen, but okay, sure. So when it comes to moves, there isn't really much room for moves that Alex had made to any extent until obviously he started winning the comps that he needed to win, which kept him safe. Cool, but even then, the only time I think he actually ever really voted someone out was with Bruce going, and that's about it.
No, Bruce.
Yeah, just to kind of go off what Marvin's saying, I like the reason I would always go to Alex to try to make them feel comfortable because I knew he was the most gullible. So he would go along with it, and I was like, and that's why he was always so mad at me because like I would tell him I was going to do this and be like, yeah, let's do it, and then it wouldn't work out, and then like he would get real upset. So that was tough for him. And then on top of that, like Marvin is saying, I think when it comes to the strategy itself and him being there, he's there because Marvin blocked Allie's vote in week 3 or whatever. Like literally that last vote, we were like, who should we vote out? And like Morgan was like, well, I think we should vote out Marvin because he blocked Allie's vote. And we were like, yeah, sure. So like he's literally there just because we let him stay around. And then he took advantage, but there's no strategy in him going to being at the very end.
Correction, Bruce. My vote was blocked, not Allie's.
Sorry. Tanner's vote. But Marvin did the blocking.
Morgan.
Obviously I said that I've talked to Susie the most. And I don't know if this means anything, but I feel like I'm only 1 vote and Susie's only 1 vote. So based off of like people's relations with her, regardless if they talk to her or not, like the vote could have been her regardless if I said, oh, like was trying to protect her or not. Like I feel like there was more opportunities to get her out by people. So I don't know, that's just my thought.
So essentially we don't know what either of them actually really contributed when it comes to strategy is what we're saying, Seb.
Okay. Chrysan.
Like, yeah, like both of them should have played their own games. Like Susie could have played her own game. She should have stopped listening to others. She should not have made those people make her decision for her. So
I mean, I was gonna say maybe this was Susie's strategy all along. Maybe if she verbatim says, I used a Sandra strategy where it was anyone who wasn't me, I will respect that. However, I don't expect her to say that. So for me, up to the point that I was still in the game, I don't see where any of Susie's strategies or Susie's ideas made it, like were a thing or happened. Heck, I don't even know any of Susie's strategies or her ideas because she didn't vocalize any of that. Not to me, at least. So for me, I don't see a strategy from her unless it's a strategy where I'm not going to do anything but follow people because that would make me a necessity for stronger players to get by. And the stronger players would need to keep me around because I'm a secured vote for them. If she gets up there and she says that will get my vote. If she gets up there and she says, my strategy was I was piggybacking off of Morgan or Jonah or Bruce to get to where I needed to go because I knew that they were always going to be bigger targets than I was and they were always going to get voted out, I will respect that 150%. I just don't expect her to say that. And in terms of Alex, yeah, I don't see the strategy either. I definitely see an opportunity where he could have made something happen, but I kind of fucked it up for myself because when he blocked Morgan's vote, I was speaking to him earlier and I was like, I definitely think it's gonna be me. And he's like, oh, I haven't heard anything. In my head, I'm like, you wouldn't have heard anything to begin with. But I messaged him and I was like, Morgan is voting Marvin. Because I still wanted there to be some form of animosity or whatever, anonymous. I wanted people not to know where everyone else was going to vote. So he blocked Morgan's vote. He really should have blocked anyone else's, and it could have tied it all. But I see where he was trying to do something. It just didn't work out.
Okay, Morgan.
So I was just gonna say, like, in conversations that I had with like Bruce and Jonah and Chrisanne, like, I feel like obviously I did the speaking kind of for Susie because her social game wasn't there, but I feel like anytime we were like wondering where Susie would vote, like, I feel like the vibe that I got from her was like she knew that her name was out there. So I feel like we like saying, hey, it could be this, and she's like, anything but me. I feel like that might be her mindset. That's kind of the vibe I got from conversations where it was like, hey, would you be down for this? And she knew her name was out there so much that it was like, I'll stick with anything that anybody says so I can make it through this vote. I don't know if that helps her case, but like that is kind of my impression, how I got her to at least vote with where we wanted.
Okay, Lauren.
So somebody that actually like started with like both of them, Alex was a lot more strategic before the merge because we were able to do more things like with the captain vote and stuff. So like us sending Susie over was like kind of like a strategic move for him because like that was kind of his idea. So I mean, through this whole like captain thing, like it all had like a purpose of like why we sent who we did. So from talking to him and stuff, like he played strategically before the merge. And then once the merge happened, like it just went downhill kind of. So
Okay. If that's all for strategic, I just have two more points and then I'll hand it back to Sean and we'll be done with tonight. So you guys are talking about, sides and talking about your social games, talking about how, it's been mentioned that Alex had to talk to everyone and then others are saying that's hard to get conversation out of Susie. This brings up a point of jury management. How do you guys feel the two people at the final two have managed you guys on either on a game level or on a personal level? Chrisanne.
Okay, so personally for me, Susie sucked with jury management. For me personally, the day that I got voted out, she told me, oh, I'm so sick. That's why I'm not responding to my messages. This, then, and third. To me, that's a load of bullshit, especially since a couple days before she called me to cry because the conversation that we were having with Alex and Marvin after tribal was like, it was a heavy conversation and it had really gotten to her. And she said verbatim, oh, I'm just not good at these games. Personally, if she had called to vent, that's fine. Perfect. Honestly, that's so fine. We all have to vent. But then the point where she started crying and it just seemed like she was extremely emotional. And then just the switch that she flipped to vote me out after, that hurt my feelings because I thought that her coming to me and us talking and confiding in each other, I thought that, that went a little beyond game and that was building somewhat of a relationship with both of us. But then the fact that she just absolutely stopped talking to me afterwards, like, I get it. We're playing a game. It's hard to vote people out. However, that's like org 101. You don't just drop off and ignore people the day you're gonna vote them out. Like, I can scroll back in my prod chat and I could see where it says everyone is moving sus. It's gonna be me. Org 101. So personally, for me, I don't like Susie's jury management. For me, I don't know about anybody else. Y'all got your own opinions. Alex, I like Alex. He was cool. And even when I was voted out and I had suspicions that, oh, this was Alex's doing, I still felt no form of like, I wasn't upset with him. I was like, chalk it up to the game. I wasn't even upset with Bruce because a player knows game, right? Chalk it up to that. I was more so upset with Morgan, and we've talked about it, and more so upset with Susie. So, yeah.
Okay, Lauren.
So, I mean, for me personally, I feel like Alex just had a little bit more better jury management. Like he would ask me like every day how I was feeling and stuff. And like I just could like I felt like it was very genuine. Like he actually like cared about how I was feeling. When I would talk to Susie, it's like she just felt one way. Like when Tanner got evicted, she came and interrogated me. Or like not when he got evicted, it was when Corey did, but after I voted him, like she came and interrogated me. And after that, I'm like, I don't know who you are or what you're about. Like, I don't know why you're coming at me over a vote, but like, so that rubbed me the wrong way. And after that, I never talked to her again because I'm not gonna be bitched at for making my own decisions. So it just rubbed me the wrong way, and it just still hasn't set well with me. So
Okay, Tanner.
Okay, when Susie voted me out, it told me she'd not want to stay true to the group of 6, which really did hurt me. If she stayed true to it, then then like then like then I wouldn't have she just didn't stay true to it, and she was with other alliances, which really hurt me more. And she didn't care to stay true to ours, which really hurt me. And I think it hurt Morgan too. But it hurt me more. So with Alex, again, like he was up front with me that they were pushing my name. Susie was not up front with me. She just let it happen. So that really did hurt me a bit.
Jonah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Susie had the best jury management out there. For me, I mean, for a final 4, she promised me, like a final 2. It was like, oh, I promise no matter what, we're gonna be a final 2 because we're the 2 underdogs in this or whatever. I don't forget what she said, but personally, that doesn't sit right with me considering she backstabbed me and like 2 minutes before the vote, she said, oh yeah, 100%, I'm not voting you, I'm voting Bruce. It just kind of like, why even lie to me? Like you haven't talked to me all game and you lie to me on that. It's like, what was the point? And that's probably something I'm gonna bring up tomorrow night for her to explain that, because I don't see how that's a good move on her part. I don't know. I don't agree. But for Alex, he's played a really honest game, and I feel like honesty goes a long way for a jury. He was honest with me at least. I'm not sure about the others, but for me, he was pretty honest. So jury management wise, I'd say Alex has this one.
Okay, does anyone else have anything to talk about when it comes to jury management?
Yeah, Susie, she just should have stayed true to the group of 6. So she needs to explain that, why she did not, and voted out me, Morgan, and Chrisanne.
Okay. So if no one else has anything else to say about jury management, I'll move on to my last point. And usually my last point would be to talk about the difference between big moves and small moves when it comes to orgs. But you guys have kind of made it clear that you don't know what they've done. So I'm gonna rearrange the thing. So let's say, because obviously you guys don't know their strategic moves and everything. So let me just end it with this. What do you guys need to hear from Alex or Susie, whether it's owning up to something, whether it's revealing something you didn't know, or it's just something that you feel you need to hear before you vote for someone to win? What do you guys need to hear from the two in order to secure a vote on either end? We'll start with Bruce.
Bruce, you're muted, bud.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So with Alex, there will be a couple key points that I want to bring up that I'd like him to address. But when I think about like the game itself and like who's sitting at the end, if you showed me who the final 7 were, I would have said that the 2 people sitting there are the least deserving to win, legitimately. Now that was before Alex like won a lot of challenges, so I think that gave him a little bit of a bump. But even somebody like Marvin, who was on the backside of most of the votes, like there were clear times where he was making moves, especially pre-merge and even post-merge, trying to make things happen that I felt like was a little more strategic game player like. So in that, when I feel like both people are kind of people that got to the end where other people might have been more deserving of winning, and they both got there, and it's impressive, but they're going to have to make it sound impressive. They're going to need to make it sound impressive because I don't think either is super impressive.
Okay. Lauren.
Kind of what Bruce said. I mean, I'm expecting them to say some like big move that they did that was like their move, no one else's. Like, I mean, if neither can do that or like really explain their game and it sound like a very good gameplay, like all around, then I really just think I'm just gonna go with my gut at the vote at that point. So I'm really hoping like they can own their game and say what they have to say and like don't hold back, honestly.
Okay. Tanner.
What I want Susie to explain is that why did she not stay true to our group of 6? Why was she not up front with me, Morgan, Prasan? Why was she not up front that they were pushing her name? That's what I want her to explain. With Alex, I want him to address his honesty. Yeah, he was up front with me on my name being pushed around, but he needs to articulate on that.
Okay. Chris Ann.
Okay, so personally for me, I'm not looking out for anyone to say any big moves because I think we've all come to the general agreement that neither had any, which is perfectly fine. I need them to show me that the best player doesn't have to win. It's the best player out of the person at the end. And I need either one to show me why they are the best player at the end. For Susie, I would 100% need her to own the narrative that she purposely played a GOAT game in order to piggyback off of the bigger players to get to where she needed to go. For Alex, I need him to show me how he made his misfortunes work in his favor. That's all I need from either one of them. I don't want to hear anything about, oh my God, I was in charge of getting who else out, whatever, because clearly neither was. I need them to strategically own their games. So alter how all of us are looking at both of them and basically try to sell us. That's what I need.
I have one thing that I need to happen, and that's for Susie not to go off on a tangent that does not relate to this fucking game. Because I don't have time to sit here with her random ass stories. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, I love her, like, personally, yes. But I need to know what you did in the game, not what happened last month or something.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna laugh. But thank you guys. Does anyone have any like last minute things that they want to say in the recording? Obviously, the final two are gonna see this sooner or later. So do you guys have anything to say to them before I hand it off back to
No,
production?
I don't hold anything against them. I know I think you guys know what I feel like.
Okay, well,
Wait. I
to
want to
the
say
guy.
something.
Okay, sorry.
You know how you guys voted me as most likely to be everyone's friend after this? I don't like you people. Don't hit me up. I'm joking.
Is that everything?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for allowing me to run your Jerry roundtable. I wish you guys the best of luck tomorrow as you speak to the final two. And yeah, I'm gonna hand it off to Jen or Sean, whichever one is recording.